You know how prisoners have stripes on their clothes? And what's that got to do with art? Well, Allie Cavanaugh is going to tell us. Allie, what are you going to do today?
Well, when I started painting on aquaboard, it was very difficult and I could not figure out how to control the surface. But over the years, I've mastered it, and I'm going to teach you how I paint stripes in clothing on aquaboard.
So aquaboard is watercolor?
Yes, it is.
Ah, okay. So stripes on watercolor. Great. We're going to get right back to you. Let's get this thing rolling.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose. Now, here's your host, Eric Rose.
Well, our guest today is Allie Cavanaugh. She's going to talk about painting stripes in clothing, but some of her work here, she's a fabulous watercolorist, and you can see some of her work here. None of this has stripes in it, but you're going to learn how to do stripes today. We have a prize for you. If you're watching and you leave a comment, we will grab randomly out of the comments anywhere in the world, and you will win a copy, a subscription to Plein Air Magazine, a whole year subscription. We also have for you a free video. It's called 97 Amazing Art Secrets, Incredible Art Secrets. Just go to 97artsecrets.com. Somebody put that in the comments section. Our winner from our last broadcast is Becky Kraft in Barrington, Illinois, who gets Illinois, who gets the great value specs. All right, well, we're here, and we're here most weekdays, not all weekdays. You can subscribe or find all of our broadcasts on YouTube. Just go to Streamline Art on YouTube and find us there. And of course, if you follow me at Eric Rose on Facebook or Instagram, that would be cool. All right, let's get right to our guest, Allie Cavanaugh. All right, Allie, let's do this.
Let's go.
All right. So, are you gonna need a setup? What do you need to do here?
Yep, I have my setup here. I've got everything I need to do the demo.
All right, you're on. Let's do this.
Eric, did you want me to? I thought we were going to talk a little bit.
Oh, we'll talk a little. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk a little bit as we go.
Well, if you want me to paint, I need to just set my camera up for that. But I thought we were going to chat a little bit.
Well, let's chat. Chat. Okay. So how long have you been doing this, Allie?
I started painting in watercolor in 2006. But before that, I painted for 10 years in oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does oil painting inform watercolor? How does, once you've learned to paint oil, does it impact the way that you paint watercolor or vice versa?
Well, I think the biggest lesson that I learned from being an oil painter first and then switching to watercolor is that I realized the impact of medium on subject. And my subjects are solemn, introspective. They're kind of heavy. There's a heavy emotion there. So when I was painting in oil, the oil was also heavy. And I think, for 10 years, it was very hard for me to sell my work because the paintings were kind of dark and kind of heavy. So when I switched to watercolor, I was painting my same subjects, same composition, same everything, except that the medium changed to watercolor, which was very light and airy. And so that medium influenced my subject in a way that completely transformed my work. So I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned from oil painting. I wasn't the greatest oil painter. I never really got total control of the medium, but I could have a lot more control, I found, with watercolor.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of oil painters would say, I don't do watercolor because I don't have any control. And, of course, water can bleed all over. And so you're going to actually teach us how to have some control today, because stripes are not something you want to have floating all over the place, I assume. Well, why don't we go ahead
And
and get to your demo? Do you need to set up?
yes, I need to set up. It'll just
Okay.
take me a second.
All right. While you're setting up, I'm just going to tell people about something and then we'll get going here. All right. So I'm Eric Rhodes. This is Art School Live. I'm the publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. Welcome today. As I mentioned, we have 97 amazing, incredible art secrets for you. Just go to 97artsecrets.com and that'll be easy. We have an event coming up called Watercolor Live. It's the 27th through 29th of January. It's the largest art training event in the world. Last year's was the largest. This year's going to potentially be 3-4 times as big. People all over the world for teaching, including the great Alvaro Casanet, who is one of the incredible artists. And they're all incredible. We have people from all over India and of course, the United States and England and other places teaching. But it has an incredible impact on your work because you will learn an incredible amount from it. So be sure to check it out. Just go to watercolorlive.com and see if it's for you. And if it's not for you, we give you 100% money back guarantee. So if you watch it on the first day and you feel like, not for me, we'll refund your money. Also, we have a beginner's day for people who want to either get up to speed or maybe have never painted before. We have a beginner's day for you on the first day. All right, looks like Allie is pretty close to set up here. Let's go back to her. We still have some movement here. All right, let's see here. Looks, all right.
Yeah,
Well,
here. So what I'm going to be doing today is this is what Aquaboard looks like in the package. If you guys see it at the art supply store, this is the surface I'm using.
That's made by
this is the
Ampersand.
Yes, Ampersand. And here's the image that I'm using. And here's the painting. I started it last night to kind of get a head start, to get the figure in there, got the background in there. And now I'm going to do the stripes. I'll leave this over here so you can kind of see that a little bit.
Can you move both of them over to the right just a little bit? Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. There we go.
That's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. Aquaboard is just, it's so amazing. It is very difficult at first. I will tell you that. But what I've learned is to start out light and gradually get darker. And I think whenever a lot of watercolors start out on paper, you kind of go full speed to the value. You just get there right away. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned. The lesson that I learned with Aquaboard is when you go slow, you can layer it because you can put, 50 layers. I mean, really endless amount of layers on the panel. So you can just keep layering and keep layering. Whereas, and then the thing that's also beautiful is that you can lift it off if you make a mistake. If you go too dark, you can just scrub it right out.
How do you do that?
Scrub brushes and water, it just lifts right out because and this is also something that's great about Aquaboard is that the pigment sits on the top of the panel. So it's more brilliant. The watercolor is more brilliant on Aquaboard than it is on paper.
You know, Ampersand is a great company. They make great panels. They're here in Austin, Texas, actually, or out in the outskirts of Austin. I've never been out. I need to go visit and pick up some Aquaboard.
Oh, yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah, it's really fun. And the thing that, like I said, that's so great about it is that you can lift off when you make mistakes, or lift off if that's your technique that you develop. You know, you can put a bunch of ground down and then scrub out with different tools.
So some people might not know what ground is. Can you explain that?
Well, a ground would just be like an initial color, maybe like equivalent of like toned paper.
Okay.
So tone paper would give you a, you know, kind of an even color, and then you might go on with some black charcoal and then go in with some white highlights, but your middle tones are already there. The same thing can be done on aquaboard.
So for
And as
people
you
just
can
tuned
see there,
in, we're learning about how to control watercolor. We're doing stripes using aquaboard. And the first step here is getting it in fairly light, not trying to do full value.
right, and just kind of getting a base color down. And I would do the same thing even in the skin tones. I just did a big workshop with the National Watercolor Society on aquaboard, and it was the same model. And she, you know, I put in all those the first base layer over the whole painting. Then I go in with the second layer. Another thing with aquaboard is it needs to set up. I told you that it can lift very easily. Well, sometimes that can be a bad thing, because if it's not set up and dry, then it will just lift everything that you're trying to build up. So there's a dance that you have to do with it. You
I
can
like
see
to
a little bit
dance.
of to kind of get at the right angle. The brushes that, what was that?
Oh, I just said I like to dance.
Yeah. Now the brushes that I like to use are Dick Blick Wonder Whites. They are synthetic. They're the Scholastic. They're very inexpensive. One thing that I will say is that aquaboard is kind of a rough surface. It's kind of like a sanded wall. It kind of has that feeling to it, so it will destroy good brushes pretty quick. I mean, I go through maybe this painting right here, I would go through maybe 2 or 3 brushes.
Really? So that's why you want to use an inexpensive brush
Yes.
in this case.
And not only for the cost, but these Wonder Whites have springy little tip on that they really hold their shape, and they give me a nice point for a long, I mean, I think they hold up really well.
So that portrait that you've done, is that in completed form or is that the first draft?
Oh, this is, I would call it complete base. I call that complete. So I'm going to do a little magic for you at the very end and show you how I get the highlights. But yeah, the portrait's pretty much done here.
All right. Because we have a slight delay between you and me, I'm just going to let you keep talking so you don't have to answer my questions.
Okay. Okay. I am using, don't know if you see this, Core Carbon Black for my blacks. Now, the great thing about like I said, the way aquaboard can be so forgiving is, you know, say I accidentally do that, you know, and it's like, oops, I didn't want that there. I can get my little scrub brush out and see, I can just scrub it right off. So I like this one better.
What do you use as a scrub brush?
So just scrubs out. Yeah, these are, I have my favorites, which this is a few years old, but what this is from, you know, those, oh, those cheapo painting set, paintbrush sets you can get from Walmart or Hobby Lobby. I love those sets, and that's what that one is from. And I found a lot of my favorite brushes in those little sets. So here I'm going in with my second layer. And I'm going to show you some tricks here of how I shade. This is just, like I said, this wasn't easy at first when I first started on Aquaboard. It's so different from paper. I think a lot of watercolors try it and they're just like, oh my gosh, no, this is not good. But once I get my first couple of layers down here, I'm going to show you some magic. Get my brush at the right angle here.
Looking forward to magic.
I know it's there. Be patient. It takes so long to build up sometimes. You have to go kind of slow.
And you have to have drying time in between.
I got to get one. Let me see one. So this is only one color here. That's all I'm going to use for this whole thing. You see that I took some of this background color and I did a little wash in here to sort of reflect color. Kind of just that color. Wherever you put a color, it's nice to have that continue through the painting so that it kind of sets the figure in that environment. Otherwise it'll look kind of cut out. So, okay. So once I get my stripes kind of in there with a couple layers, I'll let this sit for just a second. Like I said, you do have to let it set up because it'll just peel off strip up everything that's still a little wet. And this is a clay surface. I'm going to take this little spot right here that's scrubbed up. I'm just going to take and put my background color back over that in the wash. And that'll look great when I do the stripe over it. Okay. Now this is what I do. Once I get the stripes in there, like a few layers, then I'm going to grab a bigger brush. This is an O. This is an O and a 1. That's about as big as I get. Now, the very working image here. See the shadow in here. It's very easy to get those shadows just with water. You want it to be kind of soft and fuzzy in the shadows.
So you're just pulling it with water, you're just pulling it out of the stripe.
Yep. So that's the beauty in there is that water is going to add the water texture. It hydrates the black that's already there. Makes shadows. Now, of course, if I want to add more black, I can do that. My striped paintings were the most collectible. That was a era that I painted from. I painted a lot of stripes from like 2007 to about 2015. And then in 2015, I started doing the other tech with a lot of blooming. And if those of you that are going to do the watercolor live, I'm going to be doing a demo of this painting with all the blooms, because my work since 2015 is very bloomy, and so this you're getting my more realistic technique, and then in the watercolor live event you'll get my more impressionistic stuff.
Awesome. Pretty amazing that we got all these people together for this event. It's going to be pretty incredible. Big lineup. Thank you for doing it. We appear to be frozen on that end. I don't know if this end is frozen or not. You guys leave a comment if it is, but Allie may have to go back in and re-enter the broadcast. I'm not sure, but we're frozen on that end. It's stopping here in Colorado and freezing. Yeah, it's freezing everywhere. So I don't know if it's freezing here where I am or if it's freezing on her end. Let's try this. Okay. Well, here we are. This is the magic of doing something live. Now, I'll be curious to know if I'm freezing or if I'm showing up. And people in the comments, I'm watching your comments, and yes, it's frozen. What are you getting for Christmas? Have you guys thought about your Christmas? I know we went to the store yesterday, did a little Christmas shopping, and I was blown away at how much stuff isn't there. It's like, you find a shirt you want to get, but then they don't have any in the right sizes and so on. So anyway, I guess I'm working. Allie's not on yet. Hopefully she'll pop back on here in a second. I apologize for that. We have to deal with internet connections all over the world, and sometimes people are having internet issues wherever they happen to be, and I guess that's the case here. So we'll just keep going a minute until Allie comes back. I appreciate your patience. I want to talk to you guys about the Dreamliners. I don't know if you know the Dreamliners or not, but it is a group that founded because of this broadcast. We did this broadcast every day, 7 months in a row, 7 days a week. And then we went to 5 days a week for a year. And now we're to typically about 3 days a week. And the Dreamliners decided they wanted to get together as friends because they had been talking to each other on the comments. And so they started a Facebook group called the Dreamline Artists. It was a group of people headed by Nancy Atherton West and some others. And they work really hard at this. And if you want to be a member of that, just go to the Dreamline Artists on Facebook and join. Anybody can be a member. It's free. We have nothing to do with it. It started because of this show, but we don't have any influence over it. We don't control it. It's not anything we do. But the Dreamliners, as somebody says, Dennis Marshall says, the Dreamliners rock. Looks like Allie is back. Let's see what happens here. She's adjusting her screen. And let's see if we can get her back in here right now. Okay, you're back, Allie.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know how much you missed.
Well, we don't either. We froze up. All right, keep going.
Yep. So I got an annoying hair here that's fallen, piece of dust. So you saw how I put the first layer of stripes in, second layer of stripes in. Then I took some water to blend out of those stripes and pull my value into those shadows of the white. I do have an undertone of this background color just in here, just to warm it up a little bit. And you can, I could just keep going. I could keep layering and keep layering and keep layering, and it just builds up so beautifully.
That's what I'm finding with all painting. The more layering I do, no matter what kind of painting I do, the more layering I do, the better I like things.
Yeah. It just makes a more complex surface. It makes, for me, on aquaboard, it makes the surface very luminous. And I think that's probably one of the things I hear the most from people when they, and, you know, at shows and stuff, seeing my work. It's like, how is it glowing? And that's the layer, because the layering kind of gives like an iridescence. So here's this. Here I have these stripes down here. Aquaboard area.
It's amazing how much control you have, because in normal watercolor paper, you just don't get that kind of control.
Well, yeah, because it's so permanent. You know, once it goes down in the water, or once it's there, and you can layer. I mean, my watercolors on paper were very similar, the way that I layered.
Somebody asked about what kind of palette you have and where you got it.
Oh gosh, you guys. These are ceramic tiles from Home Depot.
Cool.
And I talk a lot about that in the watercolor live demo that I'm doing. I go into why I like the ceramic tiles. I feel that they hold the paint better. One thing with aquaboard is that when it gets wet, it's darker because it's clay. So it almost becomes like a clay color whenever it gets wet, which will alter your paint color. So in your, you know, you put something down, you think it's one color, you look on the aquaboard and it's another color. That can be really difficult. So on these white tiles, I can really get a good sense of what color I'm working with, what it's going to look like. And then I have to sort of paint blindly, especially in the skin tones and stuff, because it'll, the cast that you get from the wet clay is, it can be very distracting.
It'd be, you'd be hard pressed to guess that that was watercolor looking at it like this.
Wow.
I'm not making a negative statement about watercolor. It's just, it's kind of looks, somebody said it even looks like it could be colored pencil, because you have such control.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of times, well, I think you have my book, Modern Frescoes. I think you have
I
my
do.
book, Eric, but it, yeah, a couple years ago, Unicorn Press did a big book of my work, kind of a retrospective. And I titled it Modern Frescoes because, you know, the thing is that this is clay surface, and it really is, it looks the most like frescoes. If you're familiar with frescoes, the pigment is, you know, there's two different approaches. There's two different steps. There's the fresco and the wet, where the pigment goes into the wet plaster, and then there's the dry, the pigments that go on the dry fresco. So, or the dry plaster, and this is most like that. You know, it's cured clay, and
Salinas
really
has a question, and is that, will you seal this?
yes, yes, I seal it with a spray. It's Krylon. I use Krylon archival matte spray, but there's lots of different sprays out there. Work. You can also use wax, cold wax. It does not activate the watercolor when you go to put the wax on. It's really cool. The I was going to say, some people, I do put golden varnish too, but that's after I spray it. Some people have tried to paint on varnish, and it's, no, It'll activate everything and it'll be a big mess.
Learn something new every day, don't we?
What was that?
Oh, I just said we learn something new every day. This is, I never had thought about that. The wax and spraying it before varnishing.
Yeah, it's amazing that wax doesn't move the watercolor. I mean, I'm even still today, I've done it like a bunch of times, and every time I'm like, I just can't believe it's not hydrating it because the wax feels wet.
Dennis Marshall
right?
asked, does the wax turn
Yeah.
yellow over time?
So like right here, you know, every painting has a problem. I don't think so. I don't think so. It's, you know, the archival people out there have approved it, and I know they're real sticklers for that. You know, I tell my patrons this. I have a Patreon, and I have a lot of watercolor tutorials that I do on there. And I tell my patrons all the time, every single painting gives me problems. Like there's some problem that I have to solve. And right now, it's this little area right here. It's too much happening right here. So, you know, I figured this out. I'm thinking, okay, I just want to make the stripes go all the way across. So all I have to do is just this out. And I'm going to change that up a little bit because I just don't like the way this is looking. So then I just kind of go in here. I'm just going to bring that strip all the way across. I didn't like, sometimes it works when you're trying to do something kind of messy in a small space. Like if this bunched up in a little corner, it might look kind of nice, but I think this needs to be a cleaner stripe over here. So for this little area, I'm going to bring this, so you just bring some water in here and get these shadows. And I'm going to go and soften this too. There's some wrinkles right in here. And I like that, the tension of that fabric being pulled. So I'm going to do this. Bring in some water here just to soften everything.
That really lifts it out, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I think I'm the one I think is coming in and out. So I apologize for that. But yeah, and then you'll get here after this water sets up. That'll be pretty. And you can go back and soften the edges.
Question is, how do you keep water from running off of your ceramic tile, or do you put water on it?
It does. It's on there, but it doesn't really run off. I don't put so much, but if I'm going to do like a lot, if I'm going to do a really big mix of something where I'm going to have a lot of water, I'll do it on one of these, like a little yogurt lid. Another thing with this there's a little edge here to get, because that little highlighter makes turn.
It's a classic.
I think stripes are very sick,
They're very what?
timeless. They're timeless. I think stripes are timeless or classic. Flagging. Okay, so
I think you need to do a zebra next.
Zero. That would probably work great with this technique for the animal painters out there. That would be, it would really work well.
That's beautiful.
Now I wanted to show you one last thing. I don't know if our connection's good, but one little, remember I told you at the very end, now I'll probably spend another hour on this shirt, but I think you guys got a really good idea of how to work on Aquaboard.
Yep.
But here's the tip for all that beats all of them is, that you can take and then you can into it like a scratch board.
Oh, wow.
So there you go, Eric. Thank you for inviting me on the show to share my technique.
Come back on camera, Allie. Well, that was really wonderful. I apologize for the choppiness of the video. Sometimes the internet just has its gremlins, but that was fabulous. And our guest today is Allie Cavanaugh. And we have a slight delay between me and Allie, so she's going to answer questions about 20 seconds later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So what I want to remind everybody that Allie is going to be on Watercolor Live. She will be teaching a portrait demo on Watercolor Live, and you want to make sure that you see it. She's a fabulous painter, and you're going to get to learn how to do portraits in watercolor, which is especially going to be compelling.
So I got to turn the.
All right, we're waiting for her to turn a camera around so we can say goodbye. I'm going to remove it for just a second until she's got it turned around, and you don't have. Let's see here. Well, we've lost her completely. Anyway, internet gremlins, here she comes. All right, are you back? Almost. Well, we're not. It's freezing up for whatever reason. There we go.
What a mess.
Are you there?
Was everyone able to see the? I'm here.
Okay, we have developed this delay problem again, and I apologize. But Allie, thank you for being on the show today. We promise it won't be choppy on Watercolor Live because that's being filmed in a completely different technology. But thank you so much for being here today. You did a great job. Thumbs up and applause, everybody. We're going to put Allie's contact information in the comments section. And of course, you'll get to see her on Watercolor Live if you're joining us in January. Thank you, Allie.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Again, I apologize. I don't know where the connection problem is, but we had a little slight delay today. Sometimes it happens. Internet gremlins are busy. Getting ready for Christmas, I guess. So I hope you're getting ready for Christmas and you're having a really great time doing it. We had a big sale the other day, and a lot of people are going to be getting some videos for Christmas. I'm just saying. We also have magazines and things like that. Watch our emails. If you're not on our email list, just go to streamline.art and sign up to be notified. We have free ebooks there and so on. And one of the free ebooks that we have is, let's see here. Where'd that go? I've lost it. Anyway, we have, 97 secrets, 50 top artists with 97 incredible art secrets. 97, a lot. It's a lot of content, and you'll enjoy it. Make sure you join us for Watercolor Live, January 27th through 29. That's at watercolorlive.com. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. And again, apologies for the delay. Bye-bye. Take care.